Felder. Now, who's next? Garret Graves, who is best known for his work in the coastal zone and in the United States Congress.
Hello, my name is Garret Graves. I'm here because I think America's on the wrong track. I was born in Baton Rouge. I'm a Christian, I'm pro-life, and I'm pro-family. I grew up right here. I grew up in Sherwood Forest. I grew up in Tara. Went to St. Thomas More, Our Lady of Mercy, and Catholic High. I worked in small business. I worked in large business. I worked in the public sector, and I was an educator. I love this state. I love South Louisiana. North Louisiana's growing up. I love the fact that we're finally in a forum where the candidates actually aren't outnumbered by the people in the audience. And I went to college and I got an internship in the U.S. Senate. I was supposed to be there for 1 month. Ended up getting offered a job and I stayed up there for a long time. I worked under various folks that were working for the state of Louisiana on energy issues, transportation, environment, defense, foreign affairs, and trade issues. I learned a lot about Louisiana. I learned a lot about the challenges our state has, and I learned a lot about our potential, the opportunities that we have before us. I've never run for office before, and I've got to be honest with you, I never had a desire to do it. But after looking around at this country, looking around at what's happening here, I asked myself a question. Who are they representing? Congress, the White House, Washington, D.C. Who are they representing? IRS, EPA, NSA, take any acronym you want. I don't know who they're representing. We have the greatest government in the world. It's based upon our representation that's not happening now. And so I'm joining this race, I'm entering this race because I think I can be part of the solution. I know I can be part of the solution. Looking out there today, we have a national debt that's $17 trillion, nearly $60,000 for each one of you, and for our kids. That's wrong. Our 3 young children inherited at birth $1.5 million in debt over their lifetime. That's wrong. If they didn't do anything to deserve that burden, yet they're being forced to carry it because of misrepresentation in Washington by Democrats and Republicans. I want to change that. Look at Obamacare. Federal-run health care is what we've seen with the VA. That's obviously a mistake. Not to mention it's going to add $1.3 trillion to the debt over the next 10 years, compounding the problem we're already facing. That's wrong. And I want to go up there and fix it. Looking at the river system here, we have the greatest river system, we have the top ports in the country, yet we're not making the investments to prepare ourselves for the future. The Panama Canal is being changed, we're going to lose our opportunity to maintain our spot as the top maritime state in the country. On energy issues, we produce more offshore energy than every other state combined. Every other state combined. We have huge resources, huge assets here. Medicaid expansion, they want to try and shove $16 billion down our throat. Give us that money, let us pay down the debt, let us invest in the new crossing on the Mississippi River, let's invest in infrastructure in the places where we want it here in Louisiana, not where Washington tries and shoves it down our throat. Why is Washington wrong? Washington's wrong because there are 53 members of Congress from California and there are only 6 from Louisiana. That's not a fair fight. Let's go up there and return the decisions to the states like the Constitution intends, and let's represent Louisiana values in Louisiana. Thank you.
Good job, Garret, but you're charged 1:15 seconds. Next up, Representative Lenar Whitney, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you this afternoon. Thank you very much for hosting this forum, buddy. My name is Lenar Whitney. I am a state representative from Houma, and I am Republican National Committee woman for the state of Louisiana. I've been a small business owner and an entrepreneur for the past 35 years. I'm married to Lee Whitney, who is also a small business owner. We have a local sign shop in Houma. We know what it's like to balance a budget, to make payroll, and to put payroll together and to pay taxes. Sorry. I'm running for Congress because I'm a conservative and I have a voting record. In the House this year, I was honored to be a co-author with my friend Katrina Jackson on passing a legislation that would require mandatory privileges for doctors entering into a hospital for abortions within a 30-mile radius. Hopefully this will close down 3 of the 5 abortion centers in the state of Louisiana. I voted for the budget this year at the beginning, but after the Senate added pork to it, I decided not to vote for it, and I voted no on the budget. I put forth a bill this year to drug test welfare recipients. On the Ways and Means Committee, I continuously fight against raising taxes and fees and as a means to balance the budget. I voted with Barry Ivy with all of his bills so that we can reduce gun regulations. I'm a real conservative with a voting record. I've always voted against Common Core even before it was cool. I was one of the legislators to ask Governor Jindal, I wrote a letter asking Governor Jindal to get us out of Common Core and park testing. I'm a real conservative and I have a voting record. I thank you very much for having this forum. I look forward to talking to you later. Thank you.
Representative Lenar Whitney, and now Paul Dietzel II, and that's a famous name in Baton Rouge.
Someone recently told me that politics is a game played by bad people when good people aren't looking. The problem is, more of us are looking, and we don't like what we see. My name is Paul Dietzel, and I'm a technology entrepreneur and founder of Antidote, a software company that serves thousands around the country. Now, my friends up here may have told you in private conversations, I don't have any government experience. I don't, but I've certainly experienced the government. Our country is desperate for leadership. U.S. real gross domestic product averaged 3.7% annually from 1950 to 2000, 50 years. That's more than double the 1.8% over the past decade. Now, U.S. median household income, let's look at that. In 2000, it was $57,000, and we were spending about $1.31 for the price of gas. Can you remember that? Today, that income has come down by about $4,000, while the price of gas has gone up by almost triple. In the 2012 election cycle, 132 people in a nation of more than 317 million, 132 people gave $250 million to political action committees. Now that is a staggering statistic. Nothing is more dangerous than a government of the many controlled by a wealthy few. There's too much money in politics. In January, President Obama said, I'm committed to making the government work better. Well, I'm not. I believe we need a smaller, more efficient government. To paraphrase Peter Drucker, nothing is more useless than trying to make more efficient that which shouldn't be done at all. Our country cannot survive anymore by making its innovators slaves to its bureaucrats. We don't need better bureaucrats in Congress. We need innovators and small business owners who understand and can bring common sense solutions to a corrupt system. We don't need people who understand how to better game the system. We need people who will change the game. Real solutions to our problems will not come from those who helped create the problems in the first place. It's time for a new generation of leaders. That's why I'm running for Congress. And I need your support. Thank you.
Well, do you agree with me that we have a great group of candidates running for Republican? And I know if you came here committed to one candidate, you might be thinking, boy, there's some other ones here that we really like too. Usually we thank people who helped at the end, but since people are moving away kind of lost interest sometimes as they're walking out the door. I want to right now recognize Peggy Big Dream. Peggy decorated this entire room by herself. You had a little help, and we thank you so much for that. And Dwight and Stacy Hudson, who are helping us today, Dwight and Stacy. Tony Lee and Jolie Provost from our staff. That's from the staff of the Central City News and the Capital City News, because believe me, our Republican Party here has no staff. So. Not paid anyway. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to begin the questions in just a moment, but lunch is ready. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do is very quietly, we're going to start with the corner table. And if you would just very quietly begin to move and start getting your food, and then we'll go to the next table and we'll go back and forth like this until everybody has. And that way we'll be able to continue with the program, not lose any time, and not really be disrupted. So the back table, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and go through the line. Now, here we're going to begin our questions. We're going to ask I'll recognize someone for a question. We'll ask that they come and stand at this mic, and that they address their question to a particular candidate. That candidate will then come up and answer the question, and any other candidate who would like to, they come up and line up. Now, to ask you, when you come, bring your card and just hand it to Major Bob Burns here, and he will take that from you so you won't be able to spend that card twice. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully it's going to be very fast moving here. All right, so our first question, I'm going to ask Mayor Pro Tem Chandler Loop of the City of Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge Parish, to come forward and address your question. But at the mic right there, Chandler.
Thanks for having me.
Why did you give us that, Chandler?
You said give a call.
No, I'm talking about these. I'm talking about the candidates.
Did you say that, Sarah? Sarah has confirmed that. My question really wasn't addressed by any candidate.
More into the mic if you would, sir.
Sure, I've never been accused of not being heard. My question really wasn't answered by any candidate that spoke, although Senator Claitor did address it, so I'll address it to him. Yesterday, Governor Perry referred to the illegal alien, undocumented alien, as a humanitarian crisis and called for President Obama to send the National Guard to Texas to help them. President Obama refused, in fact, offered to meet him on the tarmac and shake his hand when he flew to Austin yesterday, which Governor Perry declined. My question to Senator Claitor and to other candidates is, the Democrats blame President Bush for the illegal immigration problem. The Republicans blame President Obama. I want to know how you intend to fix the problem rather than lay blame at people's feet. To Senator Claitor first, please.
Thank you for that question. I'll give a 30-second response. We can't address it in 2 minutes or 30 seconds, so I would say that we have law in place to handle this and that we should get in line, do it right, and follow the law. I have compassion for these people that want to come to the United States and have a life, but we can't just open our doors to everyone and do this, and we have to return these people to their homes, and they have to follow the law and do it right. I saw that as a prosecutor, and that we had people come in here that came in with good intentions but left the path. So I'm going to go for a minute. I'll give you a different card. So, hey, can I give you my card? All right. So, get in line, do it right, follow the law. Those that are here illegally, return them to their homes, and ask that government to pay for it. They shouldn't have been here in the first place. Thank you.
My response to that would be secure the borders to start off with. We need to secure the borders, quit letting all of them run across the border like that, and then follow the laws that are on the books. It's worked for over 200 years. We are a nation of immigrants, but people have to go through the laws that are on the books, stand in line. Yeah, like I said, close the borders, follow the laws on the books. Thank you.
We are a republic governed by laws. The simple solution is close the border, yes. But people have asked, because it's so close to Louisiana, when this starts to spread into our state, how are you going to deal with that? And I propose this, and it sounds like a joke, but it's really not. Take every illegal immigrant that flows into Louisiana, put them on a bus, and send them to D.C., and drop them off at the gates of the White House, and let the president deal with it.
Anyone else on that question? Captain Bell.
Well, we all know what the solutions are, but the problem is everything requires the president's action and the president's cooperation, and he's not cooperating. He's happy with the crisis because he signed the executive order that opens up the gates for all the people to come here and stay until they get an immigration hearing, which will take a long, long time.
Really quick, I'm tired of hearing about comprehensive immigration reform. It didn't work with Dodd-Frank and the comprehensive reform with finance industry. It made it more complicated. It didn't work with healthcare. It made that worse. So I'm tired of it. We don't need to keep talking about this comprehensive immigration reform. We need to follow the laws of the books. We need to build that wall down on the southern border. And if anybody wants to say that, a fence doesn't work, let's go take the fence down outside the White House and see if they still doesn't think it worked. Because look, we spent $1 billion on the embassy in Baghdad. I've seen the pictures. It's a magnificent place. Then we pulled our Marines out of there.
Thank you, all these. And now I would like to ask Mark. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, in regards to immigration, we have 11 million immigrants in the United States now. We ask how in the world are we going to ask them to leave, or what's our plan of action to remove these immigrants? First of all, I think that we should have, the immigrants should show a citizenship, that we should have a card for true citizenship. The two reasons why they're here, first of all, is for our benefits, and also for welfare benefits, and also for jobs. So if we would ask them for them to receive benefits, that they would have to show proof of citizenship, then they would eventually leave if we weren't giving them any free benefits or benefits from taxpayers. And second of all, for the employers also, that we have laws on the books and that we require that these business owners follow the laws, and that these immigrants show proof of citizenship to their employers also. And if they can't find a job and they're not getting free benefits, they'll eventually find their way back home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mayor Pro Tem Chandler Luke, thank you for that great question. And while you were here, may we thank you for your great service that you do to this city and this parish. Thank you. Now I'd like to recognize Mr. Mark Ballard. Mark, would you come forward? You had a question. Mark is the Capitol Bureau Chief of the Advocate. And, did you want to come to the mic?
So I've heard a lot about what government ought not to be doing over and over from each of the candidates out here. My question is, should a congressman be willing to gather federal grants, federal monies, federal programs, and bring them back to the 6th District? And are you going to do that?
Did you address that to a particular candidate?
How about Dr. Thomas, since he didn't talk the last time?
Okay, I didn't want to just chime in with the same old, and use my time up last time. But to your question, definitely. The important issue to address as a congressman is where we spend our money. It's not just to get funds and government or tax dollars to be spent on programs just for the sake of it. If there are important constitutionally based issues and areas to be addressed with government funds, then yes, fight for those dollars, bring them back to our district, and get them used to help our citizens in the district. I mean, again, government, Constitution provides us protects life and shouldn't happen. So that ranges from infrastructure, so we can move and freely conduct business, enjoy the freedom of our country. The other important issue is federal versus state. I think that's the other concern. Where should the federal dollars be, and where should state and local dollars be? That would be the other issue to bring into the funds we go after and how to bring them back to our district. So.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Felder. I think the question is also coached in the terms of do you favor earmarks, and I don't put it exactly that way, but I think the various projects in Louisiana rise and fall on their own merit, and that there's absolutely the right thing to do to fight for projects for Louisiana. For example, we have the Joint Task Force 7 here in Louisiana for the protection of our rivers. They need a permanent source of funding for that. And so that's an example of something I'd be more than happy to fight for. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ballard. And next, we also have part of our statewide press corps, Melinda Delott from the Associated Press. Melinda, would you mind coming to the mic and addressing one of the candidates?
Hi, several of you touched on this, but I think I'll direct it to Garret Graves. There have been several of you who said that you do not support Obamacare. I'm wondering if there are parts of the law that you think should be kept, and I'm also wondering what you think should be put in its place if it's repealed.
Thank you. Great question. So Obamacare. I talked about the fiscal challenges that the law creates. First of all, you asked about components that are good. You have things like healthcare affordability. You have things like retaining students on your children on the insurance program until they're 26. You have things like pre-existing conditions that are components that may make sense. The fact is, just like I referenced earlier, government-run healthcare is what we're seeing out of the VA right now. It's a complete debacle. There are private sector solutions, things like increasing reliance on healthcare savings increasing reliance on healthcare savings accounts and other options to allow private sector solutions as opposed to those in the public sector.
Next one.
My main concern with solutions to Obamacare is costs need to be kept down, and have more money in the pockets of the American people to pay for healthcare services. And those two ingredients are what makes something affordable. Keep the costs down and let us have more money in our pockets. So that's where the emphasis should be in terms of policies that allow the medical industry to keep their costs down, compete, and manage those costs, and as well have the government keep their hands out of our pocket and not force people to pay more for health care in order to subsidize others as well.
I'm the only candidate in the field in the healthcare business. I've owned my practice for 30 years. I've seen insurances come and go. But Obamacare, like Garret said, I agree totally. We got the VA trying to serve the private sector. That's totally wrong. We need to repeal Obamacare, replace it with conservative principles such as portability selling across state lines, incentivizing healthcare savings accounts, covering pre-existing conditions, and allowing people to take their insurance with them when they change jobs. My daughter and son-in-law just went through that, and they had to pay over $1,700 a month for a couple months until this new insurance took effect. So I'm totally against Obamacare at this point. I'm doing 3 times the paperwork, the regulations, less reimbursement in my practice, and so I would repeal it, replaced with conservative principles, obviously. Thank you.
And also as a conservative candidate, I say the same thing, that we should repeal Obamacare. And we need to replace it with conservative principles. We need to unleash the free market. We need to make sure that we have the affordability, that we can sell across state lines, insurance across state lines. We pool our insurance together for private insurances. Just as larger corporations are able to group together to get better benefits and larger benefits, we should be able to allow our private insurances companies to be able to do the exact same thing. We need a healthcare savings plan. We need to make sure that people are able to pay for their deductibles. And we need to also cut down on Medicaid fraud and also lawsuit reform. There's 15% of most healthcare programs on doctor's expense are paid because of defensive Medicaid expenses. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
I heard somebody say that if you think the cost of healthcare is expensive now, wait until you see how expensive it is when it's free. And, you know, I'm for a full repeal of Obamacare. One thing that I definitely think that we need to do is we need to decouple insurance from employment. You should be able to buy what coverage you want, where you want, when you want, and be able to take it with you wherever you go.
I am for the repeal of Obamacare. I've sat through committee hearing after committee hearing studying this issue. And as far as the best solution that I've seen thus far is that of the Republican Study Commission.
So to answer the question, do I think that there are any parts of the law which are salvageable? The answer is no. The Supreme Court got it wrong. It's an unconstitutional bill, period. The problem is that this discussion is couched in terms of health care and not health insurance. And we have the best health care in the world here. No matter what anyone says, people come from all over the world to receive health care from the United States. And we will mess that up with this bill. And so what we need to do is get more of the federal government out of the health insurance business. We need to get rid of mandates, and we need to open it to the free market. Free market is the solution, always. Thank you.
Obamacare is a totally idiotic law because the reason some people could not get health insurance because of pre-existing conditions is because they were not part of groups. If you're part of a group, that doesn't apply and you get your coverage. We know lots of people that are seriously ill or handicapped that have health insurance because they're part of a group. Now, 35 of the 50 states already had groups that people could fit into who had pre-existing conditions. So all you really needed to do is get the other 15 states to set up groups at the state level. This would be at no cost to the federal or state taxpayers. The local insurance departments in each state would simply ask the insurance companies to do this. It might take some legislation from state legislators, but it's a totally useless law. It should be done away with. We should start over.
I said that you should be able to buy what coverage you want and all that stuff. But what about the uninsured? What about the people that can't afford it? One of the biggest problems with health insurance is the cost. So for those people, you know, we've got to get the federal government and get its nose out of the private sector. We've got to unleash small business. Small businesses create 1 million jobs a year. 1 million jobs a year. We lose 3 million jobs a year. How do we fix that? Well, we unleash small business by lowering taxes, simplifying taxes, reducing regulations, getting rid of awful laws like Dodd-Frank and Obamacare. Thank you.
This is kind of fun, actually. I'm enjoying watching these guys with their cards. Okay, we're going to shift to the local level because here in East Baton Rouge Parish, one of our big issues is the incorporation of the proposed city of St. George. And we have the leader of that movement who is here, Norman Browning. Norman, you're recognized for a question.
I want to preface this question by saying that this is not just a local issue. And I'd like to address it to Garret Graves.
If you would direct it to someone else, because he's already had one. So, okay, he'll come up and answer that.
Well, I don't know who's had all the questions, but how about I think that Dr. Cummings said already also. Okay, well, we'll go with our state legislators. How about Representative Whitney? Due to the failing of schools in East Baton Rouge Parish, there is an effort to create a new city and a new school system. There have been multiple attempts to prevent the people from being able to vote on this issue. How do you feel about those attempts to prevent the citizens from being able to vote? And do you support the efforts of those asking to create a new city and a new school system?
Yes, as a state legislator, this is one of this situation was brought before us for even the town of Zachary, and I know that there's a petition that's being signed right now to allow St. George to break away and to be part of their own city. So yes, I do think that the people have the right in order to do that. Yes, and I'd say Zachary has already done it, so I think that St. George should be able to break away and become a separate part also.
Our voting, Norman, our voting rights are the most sacred things that we have. And when somebody manipulates the process to take away your right to vote, that's simply wrong. That should not be done. Whether you agree with the process or not, that is wrong to take away somebody's right to vote on an issue that is clearly defined. As far as the folks